You're listening to How They Did It and Why, where we learn from the experiences of others. So, guys, today it's going to be really interesting because if you remember, last week I had an actor on. His name's Antonio, and we were talking a lot about the acting industry. We shared some tips for people who want to get into acting. We talked about, too, the business behind acting and how there's a lot of work behind the scenes one really has to put in if they want to be a successful actor. Now, for some people, acting is like kind of a side hustle thing that they do. For me, that's where I fit into it. I'm an actress as well, and I kind of just use that as one of my like things in my arsenal. Okay. But some people say, you know what? I want to really take this a step further. I want this to be my career. And you may be transitioning from one career into acting. So today I have someone who is going to talk with us, especially about that. And his name is Christopher Gaunt.
Hello. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having me.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. So, I we talked a little bit about this beforehand that you really spent a significant chunk of time in a totally different career. Tell me about that.
I did. I'm not going to give you my age either, but when I went out of college, I got hired by a really large company, and I spent 30 years working for a very, very large company, and I
Oh,
loved every
wow.
minute of that. So I managed a bunch of people across North America, the U.S., Canada, Puerto Rico. Was responsible for a really large business segment for many years, flying all across. Hopping on planes, trains, automobiles every week for over 30 years, and I just loved
Wow.
that. But I knew that, when I had a chance to proactively bail out of that environment on my own choice, when I wanted to
Mhm.
do that, and I had kind of a certain age in mind, I was able to do that, fortunately. So I'm very lucky to be able to be in a position to do that so
Right.
that I could act, write, and produce full time. So it has been 36 months, literally nonstop, morning, noon, and night. And it's 10:16 p.m. Eastern time, my time, and only 7:16 your time, and we're still going strong. And that's what us actors do. We just go roll and go, go, go. It's been nonstop for 36 months.
Wow, that is incredible. So, and I hear what you're saying. You don't even have to tell people your age because I would never guess that you had another career for 30 something years. You do not look old enough to do
Thank
that.
you.
But so wow, so this has basically been the past couple years that you've transitioned into acting. What was the hardest part of transitioning from like, the 9 to 5 sounds like a very corporate type job
Yeah.
into what you do
Yeah.
now?
Well, the good thing is the business world that I was in was very demanding. It was like every day, the analogy was it's Super Bowl Sunday every day. So I
Mm,
tried to adapt that and adopt that mentality right away when I launched into the entertainment world full time. So again, acting, producing, and writing. So I felt like from a transition standpoint, that was pretty fluid. But
mhm.
the entertainment world is very different than the traditional business world in so many different ways. There's lots
Yes.
of uncertainty. There's gap time, so you have periods of time where you're incredibly busy, and then other times where you have to create your own opportunities. So I think in the business world, it was a little different because every day I knew pretty much what I had to get done from a project standpoint, or
Mhm.
managing people, or working with people and working with accounts. But in the entertainment world, oftentimes you're creating your own opportunities, which for me is great. It's been a blast. So there really is no downtime. I mean, you create your own opportunities, you create your own work ethic, you create your own hustle, and you work like there's no tomorrow. And that's one of my mottos. I mean, do what you think you can't. So for me, it's been a pretty easy transition because I had that work ethic already and that
Right.
mindset and that go, go, go mindset. I think if I didn't have that, it would have been a tough sled because this, as you know, is not an easy business.
I agree 100%. Something that I've noticed just from a little bit that I've been in the industry is the people who kind of have that little bit, the business background, I feel like they go farther, faster just because of the work ethic. And,
Yes.
I don't want to, sound bad or anything, but, a lot of people sometimes when you're a more creative person you
Hmm.
tend to kind of procrastinate on sticking to deadlines and setting goals and like pushing you're more just more of like a free flow type of person.
No, yeah,
So I would definitely say that would be something that, I would say as advice to people as well, is you gotta adapt that business hustler mentality and basically think of yourself as an actor, as a product. And how you going to market yourself to all the different agencies and pitch, like you said, you're also a producer and everything. So how you going to pitch
mhm,
your project? It has to be investable. You have to be an
yes.
investable. Your whatever product or project you're presenting has to be, investable as well. So I would really tell people, if you want to expedite your experience, kind of adapt that mindset.
You hit it right on the head. And I think for especially your young listeners, not necessarily young in age, some may
Hmm.
be young in age, some may be middle aged like myself. But if you can adapt that mindset and adopt it right away, that it's a business. To be
Hmm.
clear, it's entertainment and it's creative and it's a blast and it's a little more free, I think, than the structured business world in some ways. But nonetheless, it is a business. So
Yeah.
if you treat yourself like you're the boss, like you're the CEO managing your own business, I think particularly for your younger actors that are just getting started, if they adopt that mindset right away that it is a business, they'll
Hmm.
go farther, faster. So yeah, that's a great tip and great technique.
Yeah, for sure. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like to kind of ask you just one thing that you feel that you have done to, to make that transition from being, in the corporate world to being a established actor, in SAG and everything. What is the
Sure.
one thing or one business move type thing that you did that you would encourage other people to do?
I think the number one thing I did is to manage your career. Don't think and don't lean on someone else to manage your career. You manage your career like you're the CEO, the chief executive officer of your own business. So think of, in this case, Chris Gaunt is his own brand. It's my business. So if it were my business, and it is, how would I run that every day? And the
Mm-hmm.
way I run that every day is I act like there is no tomorrow. So for me, every day is Super Bowl Sunday. And I
Mm-hmm.
really try to press myself and do the things that I think I can't. So do what I think I can't do. And that helps me develop that mindset to go for it, be incredibly prepared, and act like there are no second chances. And you take the swing at the plate. If you get the gig, or if you get the producer role, or if someone latches onto your script, great. If not, you dust yourself off and on you go again. There's always tomorrow.
Right, right. You just have to keep it moving, keep
Keep it
going,
moving.
for
Yes, never
sure.
stop, especially with COVID. Don't stop just because it's a global pandemic, which is super serious. Go, go, go. People are creating every day. Look at you. I mean, you did something else before today, and now we're
Mhm.
talking now. You've had a long, full day, and here you go. I love that. I love that hustle. I just love that hustle. That's how you move ahead in
Thank you
anything.
so you're so
Yeah,
right. And
yeah,
thank you. You have to be adaptable. You have to, figure out what the strategy is, how am I going to get this role? And, how am I going to market myself? And, what producers do I want looking at my stuff, and actively engage with them? You just got to
yes,
figure it out. No one's going to give you a
yes,
blueprint. Now, you've had some pretty interesting roles just in your,
yes,
transitioning for the past 36 months. But of all the roles that you have played in the past or thus
yeah.
far, which would you say is your favorite?
Oh, there's so many, and I've been really lucky. And I don't think it's lucky, it's just a lot of hard work and a lot of hustle. But I was actually on the West Coast in October, and I had a chance to bring my wife. She came to Burbank with me. So we
Uh-huh.
flew into LA. It was a blast despite COVID. And I worked with a woman who's been in the industry for over 40 years. Her name is Diane Franklin.
Oh.
And she's best known for The Last American Virgin. She's done the Amityville movie. She did Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. She's the sweetest actor on the planet, hard worker, and she rolls a lot like I do, extremely enthusiastic, extremely prepared, very gracious on set. So it was a little short film that she agreed to do, which we were thrilled that I was producing and acting in, called The Fire Nebula. And she said, you know what? I really don't know if I feel comfortable coming to the East Coast. And we said, okay, we'll come to you. So
Wow.
our little crew, we got on a plane. I took my wife with me. We flew into LA, and I spent 6 or 7 hours with her on set. We hammered out the scene. It was a very intense scene, and she was great. So I think after that, my wife and I, as we were coming back from that, she said, you just held your own with an actor, in this case, an actress that's been in the business for over 40 years. And we were going toe to toe in that scene in a great way. And I love her. She's fantastic, super gracious. And to me, I thought, man, I know I need to be doing this. This is something I really feel comfortable, and I want to do this forever. And I've had a bunch of other parts, but that one really stuck out.
Wow, wow. So you just
Yeah.
totally went for it. Now that's again
Went for it.
impressive to me because, you know, I'm not sure, but did you have prior to these past 36 months, did you have acting experience before that?
Yes. Yes. So I started when I was 12, believe it or not. And
Ah, okay.
I am a sports junkie. So I had to make a decision as a very young boy slash man. Do I want to donate and dedicate all of my time when I'm not academically focused on acting, which I loved, or athletics? And right or wrong, as a young man, I chose athletics. So I chose football, basketball,
Okay.
baseball, tennis, golf. I've participated in all those, still work out every day, love to coach still, but always in the back of my mind, I went back to doing theater and plays. I just loved it because to
Mm,
me, as even as a young kid, that reminded me of that esprit de corps that you get on a football field or on a baseball field or in any other athletic. To me, that represented a team approach, that esprit de corps, working really diligently on a project in a relatively short amount of time, having to come together and be super prepared if you wanted to win and achieve something. So I thought those are really good lessons that I want to carry into this world too, kind of have
mm-hmm,
that athletic team mindset. So for me, it was kind of an easy transition. But to answer your question specifically, I knew when I was 12 that when
mm,
I had the chance to do this for the rest of my life, that's what I wanted to do. And I've always talked about film, always talked about shows that I'm watching, diving into it, dissecting it. How would I have done that differently? How would have I acted in that scene? How would I have directed that scene? How would I produce that movie or that film? So it's been something that's been tugging at me for a long time. So now I can finally do it full time.
oh, that's awesome. So it's something that
Yeah.
was really in your heart, and then now you had the opportunity to do it. That's encouraging for people to hear because I think that's a lot of people's story. We're like, because it's something about being an actor. There's a little bit of uncertainty. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah,
like,
sure.
oh, is it gonna
A
work
lot.
out?
And
And everything. So kudos for taking the leap. That's encouraging. Okay, guys. So I want to actually share one of the my favorite roles that I saw you in, which was I got to take a look at kind of like some of your stuff on your reel and everything. And I wanted to share this one with you guys. If you are watching on YouTube. So, guys, if you are watching on YouTube, and if you're not, if you're listening on podcast, when you get a second, just go ahead and pop over here and take a look. See, so this is Chris's YouTube channel where he has like his reels and everything, and that's really a great idea because you always want to be able to send people someone where they can actually like check you out in action, like the projects that you've done, so they can really see what you can do.
I know. I know you're not a kid anymore. Sorry. I didn't mean for it to come out like that. It's just, I've seen this play out before. You know, the Carter's girl?
She had a name.
I know. I've seen it play out with Sam.
Yes, so I really like that scene because I think what I liked about that, and then I'm going to ask you a ton of questions about that particular movie.
sure, yeah.
But just
Fire
the
away.
scene in particular is I like how the you're playing the role as a father and you're really trying to like I guess almost do kind of like an intervention type thing with your daughter, see what's
Hmm.
going on in her life. She seems to be going through a troubled time, and I think that's
Yes.
important because there's sometimes in society a disconnect between parents and their older children. And I know
Yes.
that this daughter was already 21 years old, and some parents would just say, okay, well, they're an adult now, so whatever,
Yeah.
that's their life. Maybe they don't even live with them anymore, you know what I mean? But I thought
Yes.
that was nice that you were in that role and showing that, hey, I care about you, and is everything okay? So was
Yeah.
that a movie that you produced, or tell me just a little bit about it?
Yeah, so the gentleman that wrote that scene and produced it is a guy named Logan Rando, and he has a production company. He's about 30 years old, so an incredibly young creator that I've worked with a bunch of times. So it's Logan Rando Productions. It is in upstate New York, and this is a scene that I worked with a young actress. Her name is Alexandra Doggett, and she's fantastic. I had a chance to
Mm,
work with her in a small independent film, a black and white film about her playing an Italian girl coming to America in the early 1900s. So we linked up
hmm,
again on set doing this little film, which was fantastic. And the coolest thing about this film was, first of all, she's a really talented actress. She's a great theater actress as well as film. But I have a daughter her exact same age.
Oh,
So when I was
nice.
sitting next to her for 8 hours doing the scene in about a 90-degree day when the air conditioning broke in this place that we filmed it, so we were both hot. It was a long day to be that close to someone in a very close quarters. I thought, if this were my daughter, how would I handle this scene? So I was able to put myself in that mindset right away. And
Hmm.
literally, my daughter and Allie are exactly the same age. And then I have a son 3 years younger than Allie and my daughter. So I've had those discussions, not this exact discussion, but I've had
Hmm.
really intense, deep discussions, some better and more successful than others with my own kids. So I thought as a dad with two kids, one daughter, one son, I could put myself in that position as I prepared for this scene so I could really bring it with Allie. And I thought, I like you, that's one of my favorite scenes I've done in over 3 years. I love that scene. It was
Wow,
great.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
really,
She's a
it was,
really, she's a really sweet actor too. Really, really nice.
yeah, just really good scene,
Yeah.
really, really
Yeah.
good, just solid
Yeah.
acting in that too. Everything was
Thank
very
you.
like both of you guys. I mean, she's really believable, so are you. So I think
Yeah.
that was awesome. Okay, guys. So another thing that I have mentioned several times here on the podcast for actors who want to get into the business is having a rock solid IMDb page. So right now we are on Chris's IMDb page, and I really like it because this like when you go to his IMDb page, you know that you're on like a big time actors page. I guess I would say like it looks good. All your links work. You've got tons of photos up here, 32, probably more than 32. You got some
Mhm.
videos up here.
Yes.
I also like that you have your movie posters up here because that really makes a difference too. Because the movie posters, they give people a little bit of information about what's going on, and it just looks professional when you have those up
Mhm.
there. So, again, he's got all of his filmography there, and he's been doing this just the past couple of years, but look how much stuff he has in his filmography already. Versus, I've seen people who've been like, yeah, I've been doing this for 10 years, and they got like one or two things up there, yet they've been in a ton of movies. But so they're basically, what I'm saying is they're not advertising themselves properly. They're not
Yeah.
actually putting all their credits where they need to be. So this is really, really a rock solid IMDb page. So
Thank you.
definitely, if you guys are watching this, I'm gonna have the link to this in the description, and you can definitely check out his page and really take a look so you can see like what your page should actually have.
And I have a
So,
great couple of great tips if you want them,
oh
if
yes,
that'll help. Yeah.
please,
So
please.
as you're scrolling through that, I mean, that doesn't just happen magically. So I think again, as being a CEO and owner of your own business, think about how can you best market yourself. So you want to put your best pictures there that focus on you. You're the actor in those films, and you want to make sure that you get those posters, that artwork from the films that you've done. Fortunately, for many of these films I've produced, so
Mhm.
I've been able to get the artwork. And the other thing I would mention is be relentless with your creators. If they've hired you for an acting gig, make sure that you get your reel and make sure that they either input you and your role onto IMDb, or you can do that yourself with their permission.
Yeah.
So once you learn how to do that, and it takes about 20 minutes to log in and get all that information on a movie up and into IMDb. And once you do it once or twice, you totally get the hang of it. It's super simple. Even I can do it. And a lot of these films, I just took the bull by the horns and said, I'm going to load these up with the permission, of course, of the folks that created the film if I wasn't in charge of those films. That way, you're constantly beefing up your resume and your IMDb credits, which looks good. And it also looks like you're a working actor or producer or writer or whatever you're doing in this entertainment business. But take control of that yourself. Don't assume someone's going to do that. And again, hound them relentlessly to get those credits up and to get your portion of your scene so that you can add that to your individual acting reel where oftentimes you won't get it.
You make so many very good points. I mean, for me, being like a part-time actor, I can say 100% that I have definitely had to do that. I have had to hunt people down. I have entered some myself, just like you said, because I'm like, I want the credit, And for
Yes.
me, I had to do a lot of collaborative projects kind of to start. So for the collaborative projects, you really have to be like, look, you
Yeah.
have to get me my stuff. Like,
Yeah.
you just
Yeah.
have to do it. So very good. I mean, thank you so much for sharing that. That really is important for people to hear. So I hope everybody will take that to heart for sure. Now there is a couple other questions that I actually
Sure.
had for you, which, you know,
Fire away.
and I really am so thankful for you doing this today because it's going to be so encouraging for so many people. But we
Yeah.
kind of talked in the beginning, you said, hey, I kind of got into, you know, acting, you were interested in it since about the
Yeah.
age of 12 and everything.
Right.
So my question for you is, what really attracted you to the career of being an actor, and what type of roles do you like to play?
Oh, yeah. Well, again, like I said, since I was a little boy, I mean, I've been a film junkie, film and television junkie. And we were affectionately referred to in our family when we get together and I'd have guests over as the rerun family, because after, pleasantries were exchanged and we're hanging out, we'd immediately, myself, I'm the oldest of four kids, we'd immediately go into what movies had we seen, what television shows were we really digging at that time, and we just go deep dive in it. So the people around us either could come with us or their eyes would glaze over, but we would go deep on all of that. So I just love that. So I knew that that's what I wanted to do. And that carried over into adulthood. And then when I could have the chance to do that and proactively do it, I made the jump. And the roles I like to do are the roles that you maybe when you look at me you wouldn't think I like to do. So I kind of have like that all-American look, that guy next door look, so I'm
Right.
told. But I love the edgier looks. There's a film I did that's the title photograph on my reel in IMDb called Daydreams of a Drowning Girl, where I'm a horribly abusive, verbally and physically abusive husband to a much younger wife. And
Um,
I didn't like the abuse part, obviously, but I think it was good to bring awareness to that and how
yeah.
that could harm someone, obviously. But being able to stretch a little bit and be a character that I'm totally not like at all.
Hmm.
I've been married for 30 years. I'm a stable guy. I have a wonderful wife, two dogs, and two kids that I adore. So to be able to strip all that away and play someone that's totally the antithesis of who I am,
Right.
that's why I became an actor. I don't always
Mm,
want to play the nice dad, the guy next door with his perfect wife and perfect kids. I want to play some grittier roles and some roles that really allow me to stretch. And that's why it's fun being an actor. You get to pretend and be someone else. And that to
right.
me is enthralling, it's thrilling, and it's, again, someone I'm not. So and that's why I think a lot of us like to act. We can jump into someone else's skin for a few days, hours, weeks, months, and be someone else. So
Yeah.
that's why.
I
Yeah.
think that's great because you learn something because a lot of the characters, you research them and
Yeah.
to figure out how do I bring, so it's a learning thing. But that's for me.
Yeah.
I like learning, like about different people and things like this. So I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, that's now for me though, I have to say I always wanted to be in like a Marvel film. Hey, like being a superhero, like
I'd
I'm
lo-
like that would
you,
be so cool, and like do stunts. I took a couple stunt
uh,
classes like just for fun once. I'm like, oh, this would be great, but
and just
we'll
looking at you,
see.
you'd be a great superhero. You'd be an awesome superhero. Yeah. And I mean, one of the roles I want to do is I love athletics. So I'd love to be, I'm getting a little too old to be a football player anymore, but they can age me down a little bit, but either be a coach on an athletic team or
Hmm.
one of those guys where it's my last hurrah, something athletic, because I work out every day anyway. Why not get paid to do it and have fun doing it? So like you
Right.
say, go for the roles that you really dig, the ones that you really can get into. And as
Hmm.
long as I'm acting, which hopefully I'll act for another 30 years, God willing, I want to
Hmm.
stretch, 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 stretch. Don't get comfortable and complacent. Don't get typecast. Do roles that and
Yeah.
purposely apply an audition for roles that throw you out of your comfort zone to make you stretch.
That is such a good point. That is
Yeah, it's
such a
fun.
good point. I love that. Now, with the acting industry, and I want to just kind of touch on this a little bit. Another thing about it, and I don't know if you had these experiences yet, is sometimes there's a lot of, like dishonesty. Sometimes there's some shady things, happening on
Mhm.
set. What do you think? For me, it's like honesty is always the best policy. But what do you think? Do you think honesty is always the best policy? And what has been your experience with how present yourself, in that way?
Yeah, I'm doing I'll get to your question. First of all, to answer your question, absolutely, unequivocally, honesty is the best policy. Whether
Hmm.
it's in this field or anything, I think I'm a proponent of that. So I agree 100% with what you just said. And in any interview I do, press interviews, television interviews, I always start off as I'm basically an open book, whether you like that or not. I really don't have anything to hide. So I feel really good about that. So ask me any questions and I'll do my best to answer them in an honest fashion.
Hmm.
And that way you're not remembering, gee, what did I say in this interview or what did I not say? And I couldn't do that. I'm not,
Yeah.
that would be way too stressful for me. I just cannot handle that. So I'm just going to shoot straight. And if that's good with people, fine. And if not, that's fine too. So I do believe that. And that's the way I'm going to operate. I operated that way in the business world. I've operated like that in my personal life, and I'll operate like that in the entertainment industry. I think to me, that's the best way to operate. I'm
I
an open
agree.
book, and ask me anything, and I'll do my best to answer that question openly and honestly.
I love it. I love it. It's so true because, I think sometimes, when actors are first getting into the industry, they think, I gotta like be this totally different person. It's like, yeah, you're gonna be embodying those different roles that you play, but you still want to be true to yourself, who you
Yeah.
are as a person. And like you said, if you're
Yeah.
not, then you're on trying to remember what did I say here and what did I tell this person? You can't keep up, and then you're gonna just look bad, and then you lose. You got to have your own character and stuff behind
Yeah.
everything that you do. So for me, that's been an important one too, especially for
Good for
females in the
you.
industry.
Hmm.
I like to encourage them like that. Like, don't feel like you got to do something, or go out with some guy just because, you feel that that's going to help you or something. Your job and your work product will always speak for itself. And I think
Amen to
your
that.
experiences definitely said that. So,
Really well said. And even having said that, I'm thrilled to be executive producing this feature called Follow Her, which is a psychological thriller that the world will be able to see probably by fall or winter of 2021. But it's a female helm creation. So a gal named Sylvia Kaminer, two-time Emmy Award-winning director.
mhm.
And the woman who wrote it is Danny Barker. She's a Canadian. Sylvia now lives in Florida, but she's a director, so she's bouncing all over the place. But I had a chance to work with these two women, incredibly powerful alpha females that are incredibly great creators. They've been working this project for 3 or 4 years, and I've loved working with them because we're all so tight and open and honest with one another. So we never
Mm.
hold back in a very professional way. And I've been working with these two ladies for 44 weeks, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times a day. We're chatting on getting this movie launched. So launching a big independent movie is a big job. And without that collaborative effort, it would not get done. So I want to continue to support diversity in the industry, whether it's male,
Mhm.
female diversity. It's not just skin color all the time either. And of course,
Mhm.
that's extremely important. But working with two female creators the last 44 weeks has been one of the best experiences of my professional life. It's been amazing. And that
Wow.
just adds texture to the entire project. And they did a great job casting the actors and crew. It's an incredibly diverse cast. And again, not just diversity in terms of skin color, but diversity in terms of thought, where people are from, their backgrounds. And that's made such a richer process because of that. And it's such an enjoyable project. So there's my plug for being more inclusive in this industry.
For sure, for sure. Wow, that is incredible. Well, I am excited about that. That sounds like an awesome movie. Who doesn't love a good psychological thriller? Those
It's
are
scary, but
always
not
great.
too scary. Not a lot of gore,
Yeah.
but enough gore to have you peeking under your covers. So I think you'll
Right,
really like
right. Yeah, I definitely can't do the horror side, but that's
it.
like my lane, where you're at with that. So, well, when you get that all wrapped and everything, please
Yeah,
come back and share with us,
yeah,
some things, and we
sure,
can
I
talk
will.
about it once it premieres and everything.
Yeah.
We also do movie reviews here on the
Oh,
channel, which I
great.
love. Yeah, yeah. Emma and
Yeah.
I do that, so that'll be awesome.
It was shot in New York. We got the last scenes in right before COVID shut down New York City, a week before COVID shut down
Oh wow.
NYC. And now it's in post production in where you're living in LA. And
Okay.
we're about 3/4 of the way through post. And then it's all about marketing and selling the film and letting the world enjoy it. So that'll happen again. I'm knocking on wood here by fall, winter of 2021. The world will be able to see it. It's called Follow Her, a really good, intense, well done psychological thriller that should have you on the edge of your movie seat. Yeah, yeah, it's a fun one.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome. Wow.
it's fun.
Well, hey Chris, this has been awesome. I want to thank
Thank
you
you so
so
much.
much for sitting down and sharing your knowledge
Yeah,
on all of this, from transitioning into a new career to the projects that you're working on, and
yeah,
encouraging, anyone who wants to get into acting. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
thank you. And you're a terrific interviewer.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you.
Good luck with your podcast. Thank you for doing this for the entertainment industry. I think we need this shot in the arm now, especially with COVID. We need a bright young face like yours with a great smile cheering us on. So thank you so much. You are really, really nice to talk with.
Oh, thank you so much. I
Yeah.
really appreciate that. Right, guys. Well, I want to thank you all so much for listening to How They Did It and Why. I hope this information has been helpful to you. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Take care.